Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier, and I'm happy to be here with you today as we're going to be talking about some great news, a very positive news story, and something that you may not have heard about from the major mainstream media. That is, of course, that there is a very specific woman who is being denied entry into the United States, and you should be happy about that. We'll explain that in just one second, but we do want to mention that if this is the first time that you are seeing our channel, we welcome you and thank you for being part of our audience. We want you to know that we do long-form political commentary, and every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We reach out on YouTube, Facebook, all the social media that the internet overlords will allow to hear your voice, your tweets, your chats, and your phone calls from anywhere in the world to be able to speak with us because we believe in your right to the First Amendment, your right to free speech. Even when your government doesn't agree, even if the internet overlords do not agree, we support your right to free speech to talk about the issues that matter to you and affect all of us across the globe. We hope you'll join us this Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Now, the thing that we wanted to talk about today, the thing that is making us particularly happy and is a positive for America, is what's happened to this woman, a woman named Hoda Muthana. To be able to fully understand what's going on, we want you to know that this is a story that actually started prior to 2019. It started under the Obama administration. Let's go to what we were saying in 2019 about this woman and this story.
Now that ISIS is being beaten around the world, and especially in the Middle East, now that her husband has died because while fighting for ISIS, killed by U.S. troops, while this is happening, she has now decided, after she has been caught by U.S.-friendly Kurdish forces, and she is in a prison camp with other ISIS prisoners, she now wants to come home to America. Is that something you would have sympathy for? I don't.
To be very clear, Hoda Muthana may have been a naturalized American citizen. There is some question about whether she was or was not a naturalized citizen. And she was in the United States, grew up in this country, and as a teenager, she decided that the best thing she could possibly do with her life was to revoke her American citizenship, just throw it away, and decided to join ISIS, the global terrorist organization, to advance its horrible regime and its atrocities around the globe. And she went to Syria to help fight for ISIS against other individuals around the world. She became pregnant, and that led to her giving birth, and she now has a 4-year-old son. Along the way, she was captured. As a combatant, she was captured by Kurdish forces, and while she was in the prison in Syria, she begged and pleaded to her family here in the United States to bring her back home. That really isn't a story that should get any sympathy from anyone. She went out to help kill women and children and individuals, innocent civilians, and only once she was caught did she suddenly begin to say, "I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. Forgive me. Let me come home to the great land of America." I have no sympathy for this individual. I have no sympathy for the plight that she has. I feel no sympathy for the fact that she is upset that she is in a prison that isn't a U.S. standard, but a prisoner of war camp for doing some of the most atrocious crimes known to man. And she's not the only one. There are others that have had this same similar situation happen to them. In fact, there's a story of Abdel Hamid, an individual who also was a naturalized American citizen, who lived his life in America and decided on a trip to Morocco with his family to run off and to join ISIS. And he became an ISIS fighter, not just a member of ISIS, an ISIS fighter, helping their troops to kill Americans and others. And once he was caught, then and only then did he decide to say, I want to come back to America. I want to come back home. Now, in the case of Abdullah Hamid, we do know, as reported by by CBS, he first claimed he had never fought. And then, when he was brought to America as a criminal, as a treasonous traitor that he is, he admitted in court documents he served as a soldier for ISIS until 2016 when he was injured conducting military activities on behalf of ISIS. He is facing 20 years in jail, and we would say he should be in jail for life. He is a traitor, and he's lucky that he is not being killed as the law would provide. You may say, Mike, that's very harsh. How can you be so harsh about that? I want to again remind anyone, especially those progressives, that would say, well, we have to forgive everyone that would try and kill American citizens, that would try to kill women and children because of their fanatical points of view. That these individuals who only decided that they wanted to come to America when they were caught and had to live in the prison systems found in other countries around the world, which are far more harsh. No, they're looking to come home because of leniency. They're trying to take advantage of the bleeding hearts of many progressives and trying to get a lighter sentence for themselves, hoping that the United States government will allow them, one way or another, to get a lesser charge or to spend 20 years and then be let free with everything forgotten that they have done. Well, that's not happening. As we mentioned, Abdelhamid Al-Madioum, who is 24, was brought back into the United States in 2020, and on January 13th of 2021, he admitted his guilt and is facing 20 years, and we would like to see him get life. And as for Hoda Muthana, well, she still is not allowed into the United States. President Obama denied her entry into the United States. President Trump denied her entry into the United States. Her family, American citizens, naturalized, have gone through the courts, the legal system, and have come to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, no, we're not even going to take this case. It does not rise to that level. She gave up her citizenship, and she is denied. She is a criminal. And I am paraphrasing there a little bit, maybe even editorializing, and I'm happy with that. And I want you to understand, look at the way that we are seeing this story being told. Look at the descriptions of what are being said. Not just that they're saying that she's an Alabama ISIS bride. She was an ISIS fighter and then became an ISIS bride because she chose to do that. But we see the story. U.S. Supreme Court has refused to hear the appeal of an American woman who joined ISIS. No, she's not an American woman. She gave up her American citizenship. She is not an American citizen. We go on. Hoda Muthana, has renounced her ISIS, and both she and her son have been threatened because of her stance. The child's father is dead. Do you feel sad? Do you feel bad for her? Isn't this terrible? Except she only renounced the global terrorist organization after being caught, after aiding and abetting and fighting with the global terrorists. And she's being threatened now because she's trying to skip out on the punishment for the actions that she has taken. And yes, the child's father is dead because he was a terrorist fighting a terrorist war. We go on with the stories. This one's the one that really gets me. From The Independent, Hoda Muthana. U.S. Supreme Court refuses to hear the case of Alabama ISIS bride. Their description of it is the part that gets me. Hoda Muthana traveled from Alabama to Syria in 2014 and married 3 jihadis. They are leaving out so much from this story, and that tells you about the leftist progressive twist that they want to put to this story. They're trying to make it seem like this is such a horror, such a terrible thing, that this woman who merely traveled from Alabama to Syria, that she's being denied the ability to come back to America, as they forget to mention she is a terrorist. She volunteered to become a terrorist. She renounced her American citizenship. She made these choices, and now she is suffering the consequences of those choices. Here's the story from Newsweek. Hoda Muthana, stuck in Syrian refugee camp after SCOTUS denies appeal to return to the United States. Do you see how they are phrasing this? Do they see how they are trying to change this story? How they are trying to twist the emotions of the public? This is deceptive, and it is wrong, because she's not just stuck in a Syrian refugee camp. She's stuck in a Syrian prison camp because she is a member of ISIS and aided and abetted the terrorist organization. That's why she's in a prison camp and why she was denied entry into the United States by President Obama and President Trump, who both did the right thing in this case. Let's look at what Newsweek has to say here. Hoda Muthana is stuck in a Syrian refugee camp. That is not true. She is in a prison camp after the United States Supreme Court denied her appeal to return to the United States. On Monday, the court declined to hear her appeal, filed by a relative, who's an American naturalized citizen, on behalf of Muthana, who was born in New Jersey, that is in dispute, and left her home in suburban Birmingham, Alabama, in 2014 to join Islamic State, not a militant group, a terrorist organization. She had reportedly become radicalized online. I don't really care. And they leave out, she gave up her American citizenship. This was her voluntary action. Now, I'm not completely heartless, and I do want to say I am sorry that a 4-year-old child is involved in this. I am sorry that her son will live a difficult life in Syria and that he is growing up in a prison camp because of the actions of his mother, who decided that terrorism was perfectly fine and who was more than willing to raise her child in a terrorist organization as the child's father went out and killed innocent women, children, and other individuals throughout other civilians. I have no sympathy for this. I don't feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for Al-Madioum. I do not feel bad for the additional 10 other individuals that have been brought back into the United States after being captured as terrorists, as ISIS fighters in Syria by the Syrian Kurds. I do not feel bad for these individuals, and I am happy that they are each facing 20 years to life imprisonment because they are terrorists. They have committed international terrorism, and they are treasonous and traitorous, and they are getting their just desserts. And in each and every case where it has been proven that they are a member of ISIS and that they have been fighters for ISIS, I am more than happy to see them rot in a cell forever. I would be happy to see any member of ISIS that is an ISIS fighter that has killed women and children and civilians, that they get the fullest punishment possible. Perhaps some would say this is harsh. I do not. Some would say that you must have forgiveness in your heart. And I forgive many things. I don't forgive terrorists. I don't forgive those who go out and kill women and children because of their beliefs, just because those women and children happen to be standing, not because of their political beliefs, not because of their actions, not because they even knew that these terrorists wanted to kill someone that day. They just happened to be bystanders. I don't accept that for the gangbangers. I don't take pity on them for drive-by shootings of innocent women and children and civilians, and I don't feel the pity, especially for members of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban all around the world. I think it's important that we remember that in 2019, when no one was paying attention, we were talking about this and we were trying to bring the truth to American citizens, not the gobbledygook cover-up that we see coming from Newsweek and The Independent. The truth needs to be known here. Now, you may have forgiveness, and that's okay. You may be willing to turn the cheek, as it says, as many Christians would say, that we should do. And maybe you believe that these individuals are truly trying to repent for the evils that they have done after they got caught for committing those evils. Maybe you do. I do not. And so I find it a very happy day to know that Hoda Muthana will not be stepping on U.S. soil, and that she will continue to be denied entry into the United States and given the leniency of the United States prison system. That she will continue to rot in a prison camp in Syria, which is what she deserves for the choices she has made. I will have sympathy, and I do feel bad for her child that he has to suffer for the crimes of his parent. And the difference between the 10 individuals that have been brought back to the United States and are being tried and will be going to prison for 20 years, maybe a lifetime, is they were smart enough not to give up their American citizenship. And may they never see the light of day again. This is a short message in a short video. I'm a happy man today. You may think that that's just way too harsh, and I am happy to hear your conversation. I am happy to hear you tell me why I should not be so happy to see them punished for the crimes that they have committed, for the murders of innocent women and children. I am happy to hear your argument and your pleading to tell me why they should be forgiven. But I think it'll be a very difficult day to convince me. Either way, I do look forward to hearing what you have to say about this story. I do invite you to see when we covered this story in 2019, we invite you to look at that and see for yourself the full story of what they have done and what are the consequences of those actions. Either way, we do thank you for being part of our audience today, and we hope that on Sunday at 2:30 p.m., you will join us and others from around the world to speak about this and other issues that are important to us all. Thank you.